there, and welcome to another episode of Artfully Orange. I am Vicki Landon, and I am here with Sean Roberts of Amrak, an anti-bullying and film nonprofit in our community. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Wonderful. So, Sean, tell us a little bit about how you first fell in love with arts and culture and film and comedy and entertainment. I have a feeling it probably went back at some point to your childhood.
It's so funny you say that because when I grew up in New York City, and where I grew up, it was near the Village, and we had all sorts of celebrities that we actually grew up with. And I was a lot of, I've had a lot of friends that are celebrities, and they were just our friends. And so basically, just growing up in the city, we were involved with it in some capacity. And I just grew up there and seeing it all the time, and it just became part of me. As a kid, I used to love to dress up and be different. As you can see, I have these different glasses on. But that was just me as a kid. I like to be different. I like to stand out, but in a positive and different way. And so, like you said, yes, it did start with my childhood, and it just carried with me as an adult. I remember one time I was working at this company in Midtown, and as I was coming to work, I kept hearing this camera, like people taking, pictures, and I was like, "Well, who are they taking pictures of?" And it was so funny. They were taking pictures of me as I was going to work, and the guy said, "You have this look for this shoot we're doing for the building." And my boss happened to come down at the time. He was like, "Oh, so this is what you're doing before you come to work? You're picking up gigs." And so, yeah, so it stuck with me there. And
Do you remember what you were wearing when you got that photo?
actually, I do. It was a gray suit with a green like suitcase bag, and I had like a little scarf on, and I was just walking towards the building. And actually, I have one of the photos. No, actually, I have two of the photos. And actually, my boss was actually in one of the photos that they took, and it was like this long camera, and the guy caught it, and I was just like, okay. So, that was one of the experiences, and just growing up with friends, that were rappers, freestyle artists. A friend of mine is married to a freestyle artist, and so it was just all around me all the time, and I just love the lifestyle, and I love the culture, as far as creating and making, bringing things to life, in the entertainment industry.
You said Midtown, so you're born and raised in New York?
Yes, born and raised in Manhattan on the Lower East Side. I grew up there, and then I went to prep school in Long Island. And then after that, I went to private college, Pennsylvania, and then came to Florida for a little bit, went back to New York, and then came back to Florida because I just love the beauty of Florida, and I love the relaxation of being here. Although it's changing, but I still can find little spots to relax.
That's great. So as a kid, were you like a theater kid or a musician or a class clown? Like what
Wow.
personality did you have as a young person?
That's so funny. Like everything you're saying, you're hitting the nail right on the head. I was a class clown, and I used to always make people laugh. And it was funny because a lot of people didn't think I would be anything because I was just playing around a lot. But class clown, loved to dance as a kid. I used to dance around the table as a kid to James Brown, and, and entertainment aspect of it, like just having a good time, just being fun and festive. So yeah, I really was the class clown.
So when you were in Midtown in that gray suit with the briefcase getting pictures taken, were you on your way to a film or entertainment related job? What were you doing for work at that time?
It's so funny. Well, back a little bit. So I went to school for education, so I became an educator. I taught fourth grade, and I also wrote curriculums for, at the time, Mayor Giuliani. So I got caught up in politics and in the field of education. So we wrote these curriculums to change the school system as far as like the way kids would learn as far as reading. And then I got into sales, and that's how I got the job in Midtown. And so, I just jumped around and tried different things. But the sales job was the job where, I would get the the people taking photographs of me and actually offering me different jobs in the industry. So basically, they were just letting me know where I was about to head.
I love it. So what got you, do you remember the part of your life when you decided to pivot into arts and culture nonprofit work and what motivated that decision for you?
But yes, So it wasn't until like, so let me backtrack. So the experience of working in Midtown, this is how it all started. So there was a lady we used to call the church lady that would come in all the time, and she would always just preach to us all day. And so one day she was waiting by the elevator, and she said she needed to talk to me. And I said, well, why couldn't you, she scared me. I was like, why couldn't you talk to me in the office? She was like, no, I have to talk to you now. The Holy, excuse me, the Holy Spirit has spoken to her. And she said, from this day forward, you're going to be a preacher of some sort, but it's not going to be a typical, preacher. And I was like, okay, whatever, it's just a church lady. So to make a long story short, I just started having these feelings to move to Florida again. And so when I moved to Florida, I'm here, working, and I just had, this urge to get back into the entertainment industry. And it wasn't until, someone had asked me to help them with the movie premiere, which I put my resources together and helped them. And then they was walking around as if they did everything. So from that point, excuse me, from that point, that's when I decided to make a film called Karma. And so I put my resources together, put the film together, and it was just my response to what has happened to me, and it was a form of bullying. But when I created the film, a friend of mine said, "Why don't you call it Amrak?" And I said, "What's that?" And that's karma spelled backwards. And
Mm.
so, what I do with amazing volunteers is create these projects to help people boost their self esteem and be better and do better with the talents and gifts that they have, and bring them closer to God through the filmmaking. So the church lady was right. Um, so I preach it in a different way, but it's through filmmaking, and it's not, we're not putting people down; we're building people up, and we want people to understand that they are Amrackers, and what that is, you're a person that's able to take the negative and turn it around to something positive.
That's the meaning behind having karma backwards. It wasn't just to be cute or to get away from saying a word. There's an intentionality behind it, right?
Yes, yes, and we're just building people up. We produced several film music videos with real life people that have gone through things, and I like to give people that real experience, simply because I'm a real person. From New York, that's how we were brought up. Just be real about things and give you that authentic feeling and experience with that it can make an impact on you. And so that's how I like to do my films, and that's how I like to bring God to people. Is like, he's real, he understands, and he wants you to live your best life. And so so I preach through my films.
That's great. Do you do like a mix of secular and sacred work, or are you staying largely in the sacred space, like when you're doing music or films, or what is your creative outlet?
So my creative outlet is, we live in a secular world, right? So I bring that to the film so that people can learn to get to the spiritual world. And so I have to bring that element into it because, there's people out here going through real things. And so I want people to see those real things, and I want them to learn from those real things so that they can be better and do better as well. So, you know, I'm not just talking about it. You're going to actually see a person who's actually gone through it and showing you firsthand that feeling or that emotion in the film project.
That's fantastic. What's a film that you've seen recently that has inspired you? That wasn't one that you made, one that somebody else made.
Let's see here. Let's see, because I like to watch a lot of different films. Um, it's interesting. Like, I know it's kind of weird, but I like to watch a lot of Lifetime films. Can't remember one offhand specifically, but I know this. There's different topics that they touch bases on, and so we kind of like model ourselves that way, but we give you the secular and the spiritual. And so I use some of those ideas. It's like, okay, this is what happens to somebody, but what I do is I give you that real component to it. Like, so if you see that actress, if she was abused or something like that in the film, she was abused in real life. So she's going to give you that experience. And I've produced films like that. I produced a short film called The Pain Behind You, and it's a film about domestic violence, and just give me that real experience. And then we have a new film that's coming, which is called My New Family, and that's a kid going through abuse in her household, sexual abuse, drug abuse, and she has a decision to make, meaning to pick God or to pick Satan. So she has to make that decision based upon the pain that she's going through. And so that's where we show the spiritual battles for our soul. And the reason why I do films like this is because I want people to understand that no matter what you're going through, the pain that you're going through, God is willing to send his angels to fight for your soul. So you're that valuable if you're a junkie or a prostitute or been through sexual abuse or been abused by your ex-husband or ex-wife for that matter. And so we just want people to learn that you're not alone and people care about you and you can be better.
Well, it sounds like you have found this great intersection of your passions and your faith. And you have found this great intersection of creating a film that other people can watch and benefit from. But it's not just the destination, it's also the journey, because the participants are also benefiting from being in the film. So, what do you do with your time, Mr. Roberts, when you are not working on Amrak film?
It's so funny, like Amrak has become me. I need Amrak as much as everyone else needs Amrak. So it's becoming a lifestyle. You know, they say, go to church. No, you are the church. So, any and every situation that I'm in, I don't talk to a person to preach at them. I talk to a person so that they can be uplifted by my actions and how I'm doing things and how I'm carrying myself. So those are the things that I do on a day to day, plus acting in other people's projects. Acting is my passion. I'm in several movies that are coming out. And they're secular films, but I do that to show people that I'm human too. But each and every day, I work on getting closer to God. So I can be in these environments, but at the same time, you're learning something from me as I'm acting in these projects.
Yeah.
So I can go to a set and there could be a lot of secular people there, but my presence, can help them lead them to God. So it's something as
Oh,
simple as that.
I am so glad that you're a part of our film community here in Central Florida. We've got a ton of great film festivals, a great number of filmmakers, and we get to add you to that long list. So thank you, Sean, so much for taking time to be here with us today.
And I appreciate you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you all for joining us on this episode of Artfully Orange. We'll catch you next time.